books I would recommend for anybody to read. The first one has to be Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. And hands down, this is the best biography I have ever came across because I felt I'm right there and I'm experiencing everything by my own eyes. And trust me, that experience is like very fulfilling and it's fantastic. This book actually highlights that visionaries are also humans. They are flawed, they are stubborn, but yet they have the fire to make a dent in the universe. It actually highlights, his ideology that when technology and art come together, something great is born. And this is, that was his ideology that actually led to not only crafting such great products, but he also crafted experiences. There was a part in the book there where actually, when his employees were being interviewed by the writer, it actually highlighted that we never believed we could do it, but he made us believe that we could do it. So it's like your passion is not just only visible in your work, but it also in the people you work with. So that is something I loved about this book. And also his eye for perfection, his attitude of never settling for anything less made me realize that science is very similar. People who ask questions and never settle for anything less than accurate and logical answers make a mark in the field. So this book is a must read. I mean, you will you will feel it, that reading this book was the best thing you have done. The second book that I would highly recommend is Siddhartha Mukherjee's The Emperor of All Maladies. It's a biography, but not of a person. It's a biography of a disease that everyone knows about, cancer. It's a story of our wars, our losses, our tiny wins. He takes us back to the time where cancer was like a mysterious and untouchable curse, a disease that no one wants to deal with, and brings us to this time where we have therapies, we have treatments, we have research happening in this field. But you know what? This was never gonna be the case if not for those doctors, those families, those advocates who actually fought to bring awareness about this disease. Before reading this book, I always thought, okay, the awareness about this disease would have come naturally. But no, it has to be fought for. And that made me, respect the researchers, the doctors, even more than I used to. So yeah, this book is like very close to my heart and it actually changed my vision. It actually changed the way I look at research somehow. The third book that I actually read very recently was this one by David Eagleman. It's called The Brain, The Story of You. Honestly, I was very skeptical about reading this book and I never knew that, I would really like this book because I've never really read anything on this subject earlier. I felt like, okay, I'll read it. And the moment I started, I was hooked. I literally completed this book in 3 days. And this book actually tells you that how your brain functions in your daily life, why you take some irrational actions, and how your past experiences shape you, how your memory works. And this is not only it. The favorite part for me for this book was when he actually starts talking how your brain functions when you are talking about fields like criminology, justice, why criminals act in a certain way, why punishment is not the only solution, And when he talks about these topics, yeah, they are very sensitive topics, but the way he touches upon them, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I just love that. And also, there is a part in this book where he talks about the artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence, is trying to replicate what you have in your brain by having to replicate those neuronal connections, but how it is also very difficult to do that. He also talks about the robotics part, where, there was very a good example where he said that it comes so effortlessly. You pick up the cover for coffee, you bring it to your mouth, and you drink it. But it's not that effortless. For doing this very small action, your brain has to make so many calculations, and yet you don't realize it. And you bring the cup of the coffee to your mouth and don't spit it on the other person. But that's why the field of robotics have to make so many calculations and struggle so much to do these even very small actions. It actually makes you value also the action your brain does and how effortlessly they come to you, but how much calculation and energy goes actually right there. And after that only I watched many podcasts about the neurosciences. So it opened a whole new dimension for me because I never ever heard podcast upon this topic. So yeah, this is a very interesting book. If you're actually looking to read something new, something interesting, and yet something useful, this is a perfect thing you should go for. And the fourth book that is very close to me because I'm a biologist is The Story of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. And this book just not only talks about Henrietta Lacks, whose cells we use even today, but it also talks about the ethics in the field of research. So basically, this book is about the woman, Henrietta Lacks, whose cells were taken without her permission. And today, we are using these cells from a woman, first of all, whose permission was never taken, who belonged to an oppressed section of the society, and yet she was never acknowledged for a very long time after that. It talks about the role of ethics in the field of research, the role of informed consent in the field of research. So, after reading this book, all I had was gratitude towards her because if not for her, we will not know about cancer. We will not know about polio vaccines. We will not know anything about going on within your cell because this was the first cell line to be established in biological sciences. But I would also like to thank the author because of her today we actually know her and we know the story of Henrietta Lacks. We know the story of HeLa cells. So yeah, I mean this book is a must read for any biologist and also for anybody who is actually looking to read something that has an impact on the healthcare field and even today it persists. So yeah, these are the four recommendations that I have and see ya.